A while ago I released my Xiaomi 14 Ultra versus iPhone 15 Pro Max versus Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra video, but that's not the topic. Today's video is about something else. Well, it does also cover S24 Ultra. So, I got this comment actually one day ago from Automotive CNC, thank you so much, saying that using 9.9x zoom on Samsung Galaxy S24 produces better details compared to the 10x zoom, which actually doesn't make sense. So let's just get something straight here. The S24 Ultra has a 50 megapixel 5x camera, right? So the 10x is basically a crop from that camera. So why would we get better footage by using 9.9x and not using 10x? It doesn't really make sense, right? Like, of course, if you think logically, it doesn't make sense. But well, Samsung and in general smartphones and logic, sometimes you know how it goes. So in this video, guys, I will show you what I found out. By the way, Automotive CNC is telling me that the difference is really to be seen when you're shooting at trees and bushes and human faces in the background, also some fences, and he personally has some proof that the processing is different. So I said, okay, let's just try to test this. And in fact, guys, I did some samples today. I want to show this with you. And I have 12 megapixel samples and I also have 50 megapixel samples, and I'll show you why this matters. But first, to start with, I'm going to show you 12 megapixel scenario. Okay, so I'm going to show you the EXIF as well. So the picture on the left is shot with 9.9x and the picture on the right is shot with 10x. And of course, they will look kind of the same. You can just see all the settings. The ISO is absolutely identical. Also the shutter speed, and it should be pretty much the same photo, but it's not. And I'm going to prove this to you by just zooming in a bit. So the moment I start to zoom in, and immediately we are like, Jesus, something's going on. Like, for sure, the 10x photo initially seems to be better off, but sharp photos, sometimes you know how it goes. Like, just increasing the sharpness doesn't count for more details and in general for a better photo. Quite the contrary. Like with things like this, a lot of these vendors are just trying to fool you, and just by tricking your brain that you get a better image, but it's not. Like, sharpness is not details, right? And the moment, guys, I started to zoom in, I was like, OMG. So it's true. In this particular scenario, 12 megapixel, right? 9.9x on the left, and you can just see the level of detail. Very much more preserved compared to the picture on the right, which is 10x. And now the interesting point, guys, if I go up, specifically where ANC Automotive told me to just show you bushes and trees and leaves, the 10x photo is a tragedy. And you know, I've compared the S23 Ultra 10x, 20x, 30x with the S24 Ultra, and now I think I have an explanation. So it seems that apparently on the S24 Ultra, in this scenario, Samsung are triggering a different kind of processing when you reach up to 10x and above, which increases the sharpness like crazy to fool you that you have a better detail, but in fact you don't really. Actually, the processing is very aggressive, a lot of noise as well, but also the lack of detail is just mind-blowing. And of course, I'm going to show you more examples, but also take a look here, right? In cases like this, like, I'm just going to zoom this as much as I can, and you can just see the level of detail. I think it's amazing. Like, this difference is really weird, specifically when you show some green stuff. Altogether, when you zoom out, like in this case, you might fool yourself. Oh, you know, the one on the right looks quite nice, sharp. We have a level of detail is nice, but the moment you start zooming in, you understand. Like, sharpness, of course, cannot conceal the fact that the details are not there. Now, of course, I have more to show you, okay? The next samples, again, 12 megapixel, and the photo here on the left is again taken with 9.9x, the photo on the right is 10x. So again, if you just look at this one-to-one, no problem at all. The moment you start zooming in, guys, you'll immediately notice the lack of detail and the aggressive post-processing that Samsung are applying. This doesn't make sense to me. I'm 100% sure that Samsung will have an explanation, but somehow I don't really care. I know that the 9.9x really looks better. It's very hard, by the way, to get 9.9x on the dial there, so we probably have to see if we're able to create a routine, or somebody can tweak the camera assistant APK and just build this in there as a shortcut, because right now it's so annoying. Like, to just go and use 9.9 is gonna be crazy. Everything else, ISO, you can see here, 50. Also the shutter speed, 1/50 second, everything pretty much else is the same. but the moment you start zooming in, you'll notice immediately, like, take a look at this, right? Like 9.9 absolutely better, more detail, more contrast, more of everything, okay? And of course, I have also more examples to show you, and I will also show you 50 megapixel samples, because 50 megapixel is a whole different story. Right now it's only 12. Take a look at this, guys. This picture here is the one that is shot 9.9. Here we even don't have to zoom in, guys. Like, you can just see it like this. The moment I start zooming in, I guess you're gonna be able to see it. But even without zooming in, the level of detail on the left absolutely better than what we see on the right. So we can confirm it also with these samples. Now, guys, some more samples. Like I told you, I really have a lot of samples. Now this here, again, don't zoom in, you'll say it's the same picture. Start zooming and you will immediately see, specifically in the greenery and the trees and the bushes, something's off. All right, so not only, by the way, in the greenery, take a look here at the asphalt, right? Something's very weird with the 10x processing. I don't really know what is going on here, but I think it's very, very much obvious, specifically on the greenery, all right? Now here, this is something very interesting, guys. I decided to try this also with 50 megapixel, okay? Just to see, is this a problem with the resolution? So now both pictures are 50 megapixel, okay? The one on the left, still 9.9, right? And this time I was like, okay, 9.9 on the left versus 10x on the right, 50 megapixel. I am not able to spot the difference. They really look like one and the same picture, which is to tell us that apparently the processing when you use 50 megapixel is very different. When you use 9.9x and 10x, it's the same. I say different compared to when you use 12 megapixel 9.9 versus 10x. See here, guys, this picture looks like the same picture to me. And we can also confirm this by closely looking at the leaves. There will be these, I would say, tiny differences, but overall it's pretty much very, very standard and they kind of look the same. And I, of course, decided to test it with even more things, like the things that I retested before with the 12 megapixel. Now this here is the same shot, 9.9, 10x, okay, all 50 megapixel. Pay attention. I'm directly going to go to the greenery part, and where we can see that we have now a very uniform result, like very similar result, which means that in 50 megapixel you can go and shoot 9.9 or 10x. It's going to be quite the same. Another example, using 50 megapixel 9.9 versus 10x on the right. And now immediately I'm going to show you here, guys, like where we have things like this in the background with a lot of details. I think it's the same. I think it's the same. I don't want to bet all my cards on this, but take a look here at the phone. We can also recognize a human face here. So 99% the same output, okay? So very stable. Now, I wanted to also test this with flowers. So again, this is going to be 9.9 and 10x 50 megapixel, all right? In this particular case, not the best shot at all, but take a look at the soil and also the green, very, very stable, similar result, okay? And now immediately decided to retest this with 12 megapixel, okay? So with 12 megapixel, guys, yeah, it's weird. And you can see the processing is totally different, okay? I don't really know why this happens. Again, Samsung most probably will have a better explanation. Now, one last example, guys, 12 megapixel, okay? And take a look here, like there is a bird standing. This here is the 10x picture on the right. And you can just see it's kind of off, all right? Now, of course, I'm not saying like that the 9.9 picture is 1,000 times better, but it is better still, like just at looking at this picture, see here, like it looks better. The detail is, I think even, I don't want to say hard, but the detail is captured, preserved more. Compared to what we have here on the right, we have excessive sharpening, which probably kills the detail, probably some other things going on, but the thing is that the picture on the left for sure is a better one. Again, if you zoom out, you'll think, oh, it's the same picture, but when you start zooming in, guys, right, specifically looking and nitpicking these tiny little things, then you're gonna see, all right, something's really different. Now, I can recap and I can confirm that this happens specifically when you use the 12 megapixel mode. On the 50 megapixel mode, you're gonna get more or less like same stable footage. But when you shoot with 12 megapixel, you can just see here like how much better this looks on the left. So for 12 megapixel, if you want to get really close to 10x, you can use 909 if you want to play with the slider. If you shoot 50 megapixel, it's okay. I mean, just use 10x, guys. And again, thanks so much for ANC Automotive for highlighting, showing this to me. And also thank you for taking the time and watching this video, guys. Thank you so much. VST over and bye.